you can encourage them to keep going.
Yeah.
And that to me is a core. That's what you're doing. That's what we hope to do with this. So they're on the track. We want to help they stay on the track.
Yeah.
We want them to hopefully be the people that want to use their success to help others. So
Welcome to the Success Times Happiness podcast, a platform dedicated to engaging discussions with inspiring individuals aimed at nurturing personal development. I'm Richard Thompson, your host, a father, entrepreneur, world champion Ultraman, and passionate about all things high performance. Our mission is to empower both ourselves and you to unlocking our fullest potential, recognizing that this life is no dress rehearsal. While I may not have all the answers, this show serves as our collective journey to uncover them. In today's episode, we have John Shadforth. John is an incredible soul, firstly dominating property development here on the Sunshine Coast the past 4 decades. But since stepping away from work, John has focused on creating a not-for-profit organisation known as the Encouragement Foundation, which is all about helping others develop resilience and confidence to achieve success and the encouragement to get through the good and the tough times. It was a pleasure to sit down with John, and we hope you enjoy it as well. All right. Let's get into it. John Shadforth, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
it's my pleasure. Been privileged to achieve a fairly satisfying and contributory life. And when I look back, I have to put a lot of that, or most of that, down to the concept of encouragement. We came from a very small, very poor farming district in the early days.
When did you decide to come down from North Queensland to the coast?
About sometime between 66 and 76, and then came down.
Early 30s.
Yep.
And then you gravitated to away from farming.
Yes.
What drove that move?
Well, once again, one of my not good things, I suppose, was that I didn't have the world's best nervous system. Things would affect me. I'd get more stressed than others. In the early days of farming, there was a lot of bad luck or things not going well. We used to grow tobacco, believe it or not, way, way back then. And every year, you got paid once or twice in the year, and the whole family, the whole district would be looking forward to the tobacco sales. We'd all worked really hard, which we all did. We all had to. And this particular year, the buyers decided they weren't going to buy any tobacco from us. So the whole crop was sitting on the sales floor with no buyers. Now, to me, it still makes me almost want to cry because it devastated my mum and dad. We were part of that. We've always worked as a family. Maybe my brother and others have forgotten that, but I never have. My nervous system wouldn't let me do that. So I've had to come up with ways of getting around that and building up the resilience that you needed to top it off. But I'm proud that we did it. There wasn't enough income for all of us. My brother had come home from college by then. So we reached out and bought a backhoe. And in a way, very small way, that was sort of the beginning of Shadforth earth moving. And then we found out that down the road at Collinsville, not far from us, they were building a power station. And somehow or another, we got ourselves a job there and we ended up with 2 backhoes. So now we had the 2 backhoes. We had rice and we had sugar cane, rice twice a year. Possibly worked ourselves to death. And I suppose also that one started to think, gee whiz, maybe there's more to the world than just going up and down in the paddock. And so, well, I'd married a girl from Brisbane and we'd come down to stay with her mum. And in those days, when I got home from a week off like that, I just went into the house, grabbed my hat and went straight to work. Now, I know that sounds stupid, probably was stupid, and maybe I was just, that was the nervous system that just kept me going. From that trip, and Gail said to me, why don't we drive through the coast? And I go, don't even know where the coast is. Farm boy from up in North Queensland. And so we did, and I drove through there, and by now some of the stress of, on the nervous system and other things and some of the past was probably saying to me, maybe try something else. And as we drove past through the coast, I thought, wow, man, if I came down here, I could feed the kids and educate them, because that was always the number one priority, even if I was a brickies labourer. And so we came down. And I rang Peter from a phone box in Tawantin. I still remember it so well. And I said to him, hey, Pete, bit of a surprise, bit of a shock. I think I'm going to quit farming and I'm going to come and live down here. But I said, listen, I don't want anything. I just want the ability to have a house to live in, one way or another, rent it or own it or whatever. And that'll be good. I'll just go from there. And he said, oh, bugger it. He said, I think I'll come with you.
I'll come too.
Now, that's still meaningful to me, so meaningful. And my mum and dad at that stage, we'd finally got Dad to retire, and we told him he'd better quit and we'd look after the place. And they were doing a little bit of travelling. So as it turned out, we all came down together. And then we started to think, what are we going to do? But we did come down as a unit. We had that support and we had that background and we had that urge to do something. So we started to look around, and I bought an old motel in Caloundra, on the headland of Caloundra. He never really settled as quickly as I did to this. He missed the farming and whatnot and the earth moving. Eventually, though, he decided that he would go back into earth moving. He bought an old truck, an 8-ton truck and a drot, and he built something amazing from that. And now my youngest son has bought him out, and he's done, just blows my mind. I don't know how they did it, but
it's one of the biggest earth-moving businesses in the country.
Well, I've never thought of it that way, but it probably is, and certainly one of the biggest on the coast, maybe one of the biggest in Queensland. And the good thing about it, Richard, I like it because both my brother and now my son Raymond are very keen on giving back to the people that work in the company and to the community wherever they can. I think Raymond, with Shadforth, Shad Civil at the moment, he's very, very focused on giving people a happy environment. Happiness comes before success, as you know, and that pleases me. I think more about that than they do even, but they do it. We had no clue on real estate or the cycles or whatever, and so as it turned out, I guess we bought at the top of a cycle. Couldn't sell to get out of the place. Stayed there, my wife and I ran for 6 years, and what we did was we paid the interest and fed the kids and sent them to school, and that was about it. When you have some drive, you keep thinking about what else could we do, so we had to expand our brains. A friend of ours had come down and he had done a bit of property development, told us about it. We thought it was pretty good, and when you think about it, that's what we'd been doing all of our lives. We'd been developing our farms to get them to a point where they were better, not necessarily to sell, but to get them. So it was in our blood. We started to do that. I took a year out and sold real estate for a while. That was a bit too much, trying to run a motel and do that. And again, get back to that silly nervous system. Now, Bob, my partner, never, ever thought you needed any sort of encouragement. No sayings, no anything. Right? Yeah. And I was a Sunday Catholic at that time. I'm not too much into organised religion these days, but I'm still interested in the spirituality and the goodness of it. Bob wouldn't go into a church, but he was the best Christian I've ever met, because he still picks up people on the side of the road, gives them a ride, which is, sort of out of fashion. So we got together, went to sell real estate, realised that wasn't going to be the best thing in the world. So we found a block of land in the process, and I think we did a 12-block subdivision in the middle of the then industrial area of Caloundra. That went well. There was 3 of us into that. That sort of taught us a bit about gathering people together, the cooperative thing.
And that's where you came across my computer screen, I guess. And I find it just so inspiring because, John, you're the Sunshine Coast has become a better place because of your vision, and you developed a lot on the coast, and it's gone leaps and bounds now. But
well, look, thank you for saying that. I'm not going to accept it fully for sure, playing a minor role.
But what I'm hearing is that your desire, your focus and determination and of wanting to encourage people and that self-development has been with you since you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even obviously more pronounced now, I guess, in your inverted commas retirement. I'd like to talk about the Encouragement Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess for today's episode or today's chat, there are 5 or 6 quotes that you've put out that I'd like to bring up.
Yes.
You can expand on them, because
Yes.
I think the mandate we all have is to inspire others, in my view, to help others reach their own potential.
Absolutely. And particularly those that reach their own potential in wanting to do other good things. Like
Yes,
you.
correct.
I mean, you've kicked some amazing goals, but here you are reaching out with your knowledge and your drive to help other people do it.
Yeah.
Man alive, that's awesome.
And even in this show, like our primary job, well, all we want is to have a greater audience to lift up. And so I think that's where it's hit home for me.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, and that's one of my dreams for the Encouragement Foundation, to expand the audience.
So the first one you've said is, this is the magic of loving what you do. It attracts success because you pour your heart and soul into it, naturally leading to excellence. So that is essentially saying, find what you love to do and do that.
I don't want to make it sound too easy, but that's a no-brainer. If you can love what you do,
Yeah.
you never go to work for the rest of your life. You can handle the stress, you can be more resilient, and you get the pleasure which regenerates you and re-enthuses you. So to me, that's the. I'm not saying that I've cracked that totally and properly. I've come close in a number of ways, but it is to love what you do is a privilege, I think.
Mm.
So to keep looking and trying and testing things, to continue to find that one thing, fantastic.
Another one that I think is very pertinent to this show, a C.S. Lewis quote that you've provided, and that's, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny.
Yes.
That's dealing with setbacks, dealing with challenging moments. Because
Yeah.
I think if we're trying to achieve, you said as a young adult, you just looked at the world as set a big goal and we'll go work hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing, I don't think, anything that's worth achieving is going to be the downs. Not just a linear approach
Yes.
of success. It
Absolutely.
has to be. And when you're pushing the boundaries of what you're actually capable of,
Yes.
you're going to come up short, and there's going to
Absolutely.
be challenges. And sometimes I think life will pull the rug out underneath you,
Totally.
and you're not ready for it.
Totally.
You don't have the capacity
Totally.
to at that stage to go, oh, that's fine.
And that's when I have the dream of something like the Encouragement Foundation being available to give a person that lift through. I think that challenges are a little bit like cash flow in a business. Mm-hmm. You're going along smoothly, and all of a sudden the cash flow runs out, and you don't go smoothly, and you start to go down the tube, down the canyon. And what we need to do is deploy a bridge across that canyon. And I think encouragement can be that bridge.
One of your quotes, don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Embrace your power to choose and create the life you deserve. Your destiny is in your hands.
The word that we've got in there, deserve, I sometimes challenge that to an extent. We've heard over the years, what you deserve. You deserve this and that, Richard. I don't want to push that deserve too much. I'd rather be a bit humble about that. I'd rather be under the radar. So but that's okay. But I also think that saying is more real when you've got access to the help of others, the encouragement of others, from family to organisations to your reading to your whatever. That's important. It's so important, because you're going to hit the wall, as you said a while ago. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be knocked down. But if you know that you've got some way, if you can be courageous enough to reach out for help, then that's true.
And I think you're right in the analogy of the cash flow of the business, because if you get struck down by life or you come up to some adversity, if you've got the resources to handle that, then it doesn't really get in your way. You deal with it,
Sure.
You move on. But it's the moments, those events where it actually depletes, you don't have the resources to handle it.
That's
that
right.
It really drops you into the canyon.
Absolutely.
And obviously they're not predictable.
No.
All of a sudden you're at the edge and off you go.
Yes.
And like you said, John, like if there is a resource or a place where you can afford for the bridge to get you across, and if you know that obviously before you drop, then that's a wonderful thing.
Totally. Absolutely.
All right. This is a Jimmy Dean quote, and my son, coincidentally, he re-quoted that last week, and he's 10.
Whoa,
He's next level.
Wow.
But he said, and I'll give you another quote that he gave me. But Jimmy Dean is, I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination.
Right.
And that's giving you power, right? Because you've got the stimulus that you can't control, but it's your reaction to that stimulus that you do have control over.
Absolutely. And what that highlights to me is probably what I think is almost one of the most important things in life and development and growth. And that is, as you think, so you are. It's your thinking. I can preach that, but I can't necessarily do it. I think I get a little bit better at it. When you think along the right lines and you have optimism and you have belief that it can happen, even though you get knocked off along the way, that, Richard, is probably one of the most important things. So congratulate your son. That is such a powerful thing.
The other one he had was a cup isn't half full or half empty. The idea is that it's refillable.
Yeah, I love that.
And I loved that. He brought that to me.
I love
That's
that.
fantastic. Anyway, one of yours, John. The greatest achievements often require us to push beyond our limits and embrace new challenges. So don't be afraid to give up the good, because the great awaits you on the other side. That's
encouraging and inspirational to be able to think like that.
This comes back to the potential. It's about what you're willing to accept. And is this all that there is? And I think the real purpose is being motivated to find your highest point, your highest opportunity, your highest potential in life.
Yes.
And so that's how I read that. That just because where you are now might be good, but with a bit of push, great awaits you.
To follow that through, though, I'd like to add that you want to get your ducks in line. You want to get yourself educated, experienced, to understand how you can do that. You just don't go on blindly, otherwise you dig your hole deeper. And so you step out a little, and that's when you become interested in the reading and the study, the results of the research as to how the world goes, how we get better in the world. So I totally agree. I bought a copy of this in today. You asked also what books I'd recommend.
You're answering questions that I haven't asked yet, John, but I love this.
I know that, but I had to bring this in, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yep.
This is the 8th habit. This is not the seven principles, the habits. This is the 8th, and I don't know how many people have read this, but the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yep.
The 8th habit is significant contribution. What gets me, right? So, for you and I to get that across to people and get them to get excited about that, then that's when we might be able to stop wars and things.
Yeah. Finally, keep pushing forward. Stay focused on your goals and trust that your persistence will pay off.
Particularly understanding the reality of how our brains work, having some goals. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't write them down. And we know that people that write them down are much more likely to get a result than those that don't.
Yeah.
And to be able to imagine your goals ahead of time is such a key to being able to do that. So keep pushing forward and focus on your goals. I think that's the key. The pushing forward, let that follow the focus, and then your patience will come out. Sometimes it's hard to develop that belief, but yes.
Yeah, I love that. Talk to me about the Encouragement Foundation and where this is headed.
The Encouragement Foundation is meant to supply resources, stories, sayings, in general, encouragement for people that are on a path to achieve something, and particularly if they get knocked off the path a little. But it's not only for that, because there's two levels of encouragement as I see it, and one is, hey, you're struggling on your goals, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling helpless, but there is a way through that. Now, the other one, and you're probably a great example of this, you're going like you're excelling. You've got world championships, you're doing exceptional stuff. But sometimes towards the end of that, or you're nearly there, just another little bit of oomph could be so important.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to stop happening is people giving up on their goals. That's what the Encouragement Foundation, it's a support organisation. And so many people don't get started on their goals and often give up. Well, you and I both know that so well. And that's a real pity, because I think a better world is built on the shoulders of good people. Now, to be a good person, you've got to go through the fire and pain and build yourself up when you're challenged and feel like giving up. So to get through that is just so important. So that's what we'd hope to do. Now, so we want to provide resources, support, sayings, whatever. Now, every not-for-profit really needs to own a business. I mean, I struggled financially for years and years and years, and you don't do what you could do if you had the money.
John, this has been great. And I'm just inspired by you, because I guess property development, generally, you've got to be ahead of the bell curve. You've got to see the future of what the full potential of a piece of land, whether it be farming or whether it be real estate for the purpose of sale, is. And you've also essentially done the same thing with yourself, that you're always trying to be ahead of the curve and trying to develop your own brain matter or grey matter to improve it.
That's the most important thing, to do that. Yeah.
And now in retirement, it's the most prevalent thing, and something that you're so passionate about, and it's infectious, and I think it's only a good thing. And so I thank you for all that effort.
Thank you.
And encourage anyone to go on to the Encouragement Foundation, because there's a lot of resources on there in any event. Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, if it can just help one person, that's fantastic. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and chat.
And I think also as you said to me the other few days ago, is like, as someone who is giving encouragement, you don't know how powerful that is, right?
I know.
Like, you see someone who's serving you coffee at the restaurant or at a cafe, and you've got the ability. Everyone has the ability to go, "Hey, you're doing a really good job."
Yep.
And it has to be sincere.
Yep, absolutely sincere. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not just throwing out compliments, just for the sake of it, but that can change someone's day, week, month, year,
absolutely,
life.
Absolutely. And I remember being at a seminar one day, and the speaker said something about, if you do something like this, when the person goes home at the end of the day, they don't kick the dog as they walk in, they don't growl at their kids, and they don't make their wife feel bad. Yeah. To me, that's real power.
And it's probably, we don't do that as much, is because we're probably so engrossed in our own sphere, in our own drama, or our own problems, that we're not looking outside of our own problems and thinking. And it's that definition that book had, that it's the giving back on the outside that's really important. And to be able to say, I'm going to fill up someone's cup.
Yes.
To encourage them.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
Because by virtue of doing that, you fill up your own cup as well.
Oh, no doubt. And when you say I'm going to fill someone's cup up, I rather take the humble attitude. I'd like to. I will try.
Sure.
And one of the things that just came to me today, that I've learned over my life, you can't tell people what to do, really.
You figured that out today, John?
No, yeah.
It's a lot of butting your head against the wall
Yeah,
for 80
that's right.
years.
But no, I wrote that down today because it fits in with, but once they decide,
Yeah.
you can encourage them to keep going.
Yeah.
And that to me is a core. That's what you're doing. That's what we hope to do with this. So they're on the track. We want to help they stay on the track.
Yeah.
We want them to hopefully be the people that want to use their success to help others. So
Yeah.
just a quick one, Richard. This one here, I love that little card, but there's where we write on the back. I've given lots of these cards out. I know they don't necessarily get used a lot. Somebody might give another one, but you just got to keep going. Every now and again you hear a story. A friend of mine had a friend who was dying of cancer and decided, he told her family, said, I'm not going to have any more treatment. And so be it. The friend had to do it. And she was thinking, I've got those cards. And, she went the extra mile. She actually got an envelope and she put the card in. So I'd call that impact mail, and wrote a note at it. And sometime later, the lady who was giving up on treatment came back and said, thank you for that encouragement. I've decided to go back on treatment.
Yeah, wow.
How
That's powerful,
good,
right?
How good is that?
So powerful.
That little tiny card and a few words. And so the card,
John's got a business card size card with a beautiful picture and quote on the front, and then on the back is a space to write what you're encouraged about, and you can give that to people. And with the foundation's website on there as well. That's just glorious.
it does work, mate.
Yeah.
Try it at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And watch the smile. I used to go into restaurants and say in the kitchen, is the chef about? And they go, oh, my God, what are you complaining about? And I would go, no, give him this, would you please?
Yeah.
And I promise you the light became brighter. So, and that's not me, that's a principle of life, Richard, and that's what we're all about. So
I love that. I am inspired now. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, before you go, final 5 questions that you've mentioned a few of them already.
Yes.
What does success mean to you?
I've been thinking about that, and I think, financial freedom, to feel that you're coping with your costs, your expenses, to have been able to educate your kids to the best of your ability, and then to have developed an ability where people feel that they could ask you for some advice, and you feel that you can give it to them. That, to me, that's success.
Looking after yourself, looking after your family, and looking after others.
Yeah, and when people can get it, that you might have some wisdom that they can think, that's pretty damn good. Mightn't happen that often, but that's pretty good.
I'm glad it's happening today, John.
Thanks.
What does happiness mean to you?
Well, that's another one. To have your family catered for. We're very lucky. Gail and I have got 4 great boys, 4 great daughter-in-laws. Is that the right word?
Yep.
Daughter-in-laws. 9 grandkids, and they all seem to be heading in the right direction. They all seem to wanting to better themselves, making some contributions. So that's happiness. And then to be able, like today, I was able to take time off and come up and see you. I didn't have the pressure of, running around and thinking, I can't do this and I'm stressed. So that's happiness, and to be able to make a contribution.
Yeah. The most recommended book for someone to read?
That's a toughie. Well, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen Covey, that's a brilliant book, and if you base your life on that. But there is, and then you've got the 8th habit, which we just mentioned, so you can select, right? There is a book that my brother and I both have given away in our lives, is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should read that book. Maybe it's a bit old-fashioned now, but it's got some help in there for when you're going, oh, my God, am I going to... World's falling
Get
to
through
pieces.
this, yeah.
Such a good thing.
4 people you would invite to dinner, living or dead, but not friends or family.
I think I would invite to dinner the people that I'm involved with Darla and the and Meddlesome. So many people. I'd invite David Basso, the guy who started Opportunity International. I'd invite his Queensland manager. And I'd invite another guy called Alan English, who has had a very successful business, but has spent a lot of his time giving back to people. All like-minded, you love all of them, and many others, like for instance Gandhi and people like that. But these people are alive, real, working today, and they'd be terrific. Be happy to have dinner with them.
Be a great dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, John. And then finally, someone you think we should have on the show.
Okay, well, I think Will, he's a partner, but the leading partner in Meddlesome, his partner Feeder. I do think that Will and or Feeder, from what they've achieved and what they've done, would be interesting. And as I said, Will was one of those 4 people that when they got their business going, they immediately gave 30% of it, and they continue. That's what they do now. They're working on bold ideas for good.
Amazing. This has been fantastic, and I thank you for sharing and opening your little life up to us and doing what you're doing, because it means, and as you said, if one person does it, you're up.
That's right, exactly.
It's been wonderful, and I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute privilege to be here. I hope I've done justice to your podcast in at least a little way.
John Shadforth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. Next time you see someone that needs encouraging, let them know all about this episode and the show. It means a lot. Until next time,